What's that? No, Bremer is on his way to.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our council meeting on March 2nd. I'm going to ask everybody please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you. I'm going to ask the clerk to call the roll, please.
Mayor Patricelli.
Present.
Councilwoman Diamond.
Present.
Councilman Dawes.
Here. Should say present.
Here.
Here. All right. Here. I'll ask the minutes of the last meeting to be read, please.
Mayor, I will make a motion that we dispense with the reading of the minutes of the previous meeting.
And I'll second that motion.
All right, motion was made and seconded. Please call the roll.
Councilman Dawes.
In favor?
Councilwoman Diamond.
Favor?
Mayor Patricelli.
In favor. All right, we'll go into, well, we have a presentation instead of the reports of officers, right? You want to
Yes,
do that
I'd ask
first?
if we could do that first.
Okay. So we have somebody to make a presentation tonight.
Yeah, before I turn it over to Lindsay and Aaron from Verity Engineering, you'll remember, and I know Councilman Dawes, you weren't here for the bridge study.
Is your mic back on?
There we go, sorry about that. So before Aaron and Lindsay speak to the project design here that we had a bridge study which had some traffic calming implementation things around across the city, and they came up with a citywide or an urban roundabout design. We had one over on 16th Street, we had one over by the post office, and then we had one over by 21st Street. What we did was, in talking with Lindsay and Aaron, noticing the traffic patterns and things like that, one of the congestion areas was 23rd Street and 2nd Avenue. So we shifted that down to what you see tonight, and they can take you through the two design patterns that we had. And again, it's for traffic calming measures and getting rid of one congested traffic light. Okay.
All right. Good evening, everyone. So what you have in front of you is a rendering of a 115-foot inscribed diameter roundabout. So there are a lot of benefits of roundabouts. It keeps traffic moving as opposed to traffic stopping at a red light and all of the traffic going at one time. It has proven safer for pedestrians. They're crossing one leg of an intersection at a time, often a smaller crosswalk or shorter crosswalk, having less exposure time. Vehicles are always looking in one direction, looking back. And overall, there's a lot of crash reduction when it comes to roundabouts, or at least improved safety for crashes and roundabouts. When they're first installed, people are getting used to them. There can be a higher crash rate, but there are less severe crashes because you don't have any opportunity for like that T-bone crash or head-on collisions. It's usually just side swipes, so a lot less severity. So there are a lot of benefits to the roundabout. So what here is just the initial concept. You can see it does take up a little bit more area. There would be some encroachment onto the Troy Housing Authority property on the Watervliet, sorry. Wow, wrong municipality. Apparently my kids are waking me up too much at night. Yeah, so this is at least a first take. Did I miss anything?
No, I mean what we did was we took a look at, we were just trying to get a feel for what the impacts of a roundabout here would be, property acquisitions, things of that nature. The size of this roundabout is probably a little bit smaller than some of the roundabouts that have recently been constructed. I think probably the best example is the roundabout that went up by HVCC. That's substantially larger than this roundabout, includes multiple lanes for different approaches, things like that. This is more the size of the roundabout that's up in Glens Falls, if any of you are familiar with that area. It's a smaller urban roundabout designed for a city. It does accommodate larger trucks. It doesn't accommodate them at speed. They have to slow down in order to make these maneuvers. smaller moving vans, single unit trucks, things like that should have no problem navigating a roundabout this size. And while we don't have any revised traffic data for this intersection, what we do have, record information from DOT would suggest that that would work for this intersection. Not a lot of, 18-wheelers going through there.
What about a ladder truck, like a fire truck?
Most fire trucks tend to be similar in size to a single unit truck. 2 axles in the rear, a wheelbase of somewhere around 25 feet, 45-foot overall length. They should have no trouble navigating this. The red circle that you see, that would be mountable. So the curbing, it's not flush. There's a little bit of a lip, about a 4-inch lip, but vehicles should have no issue going onto there in order to make their maneuvers. So, yeah.
What's the funding for this?
So we talked about a little bit about that. We talked a little bit about that already. You want to get into the grant or the application process that this gets us to?
Yeah.
But one of the things before we even apply, we have to go deeper into design. So right now we're looking at the potential, I'll call it the theory, will this work?
Yep.
And you guys, as council, have to look at that to embrace the next steps would be then hardcore design standards, designing, everything at this point in time. We're talking at about, I don't want to throw the wrong number out, about 2-point-something million.
It'd be a couple $1 million
Yeah.
at this point, without getting into some preliminary design. That's what you'd really want to do as next steps. You'd want to do a detailed traffic analysis, and then talk with DOT. DOT will have some jurisdiction, some say, given the state roadways. So get DOT to buy into it using some detailed analysis, kind of taking this to the next level of design. Once that is all confirmed, then that is enough to start applying for grant applications. So this would be, federal grant applications, CMAQ or TAP are really good funding sources for roundabouts because it reduces congestion, reducing greenhouse gases. So CMAQ is usually the go-to funding source for roundabouts.
Now, the TAP, we applied for the TAP one for the tunnel,
Yes.
correct? Is that going to interfere with the tunnel at the same time?
No, no. They should be evaluated, they will be evaluated as independent projects. One wouldn't interfere with the other.
Because what we felt was we have a better chance for the tunnel this time around, correct?
Oh, I am fully on board with,
Yeah.
we continue to ask until
Yeah.
they say stop asking.
And again, I may have, this is probably the cart in front of the horse, but I attended the policy meeting today for the CDTC.
Mhm.
And, some of this, shouldn't that be going through them as well, for support
This year?
this year in the tunnel?
For the tunnel, for really getting your projects in front of CDTC, getting it on the tip, whether it's funded or not,
Right.
that helps with future funding. So
Right.
yes, we would want to coordinate, once we're kind of past this next step, coordinate with CDTC and start getting it on lists.
Okay. So, but can we make make Sandy aware of it now, that that this is what we're thinking about?
We could.
I believe we can talk to Sandy.
Mhm.
Again, it was part of a bigger study, which was the bridge study.
The bridge study.
Where we
right.
talked about it,
Which-
moved them, and then started
Right.
putting them to a more functional area.
Yeah, but none of this, right, the bridge study isn't on their CDTC plan, right? That isn't anything that's on there yet.
Are you talking the tunnel component, or?
The whole bridge study, because I know this was part of the bridge study,
Parts of it are on the
Yeah.
tip. I think on the Troy side, at least part of that project.
They
part
had a
of the
project already
recommendations,
on and going.
I believe,
Yeah.
right, and I think they were able to.
That's
so
the Franklin?
That might be it. They already had Congress Ferry on the tip.
Yes.
They were able to add some more into it.
Correct, correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it would be essentially the priority projects out of the Congress Street Bridge study, coordinating with CDC to make sure that those priority projects get on the tip for.
Okay,
But that'll help with funding.
okay, good. Timeline?
For
I mean,
design,
well, design, application,
Well, we want to get through traffic analysis and some preliminary design would be the next step. You could get started on that as soon as there's some funding available. And then, that would be a minimal amount of effort and funding to apply for the bigger pot. So, and I am unsure when the next round of TAP and CMAQ is going to come out. But what I would gear up for is probably getting this ready for not this year's round of TAP and CMAQ, but next year, and focus on the funding for the tunnel this coming year.
Okay. Now, there's a bill out right now, or coming out, right, the infrastructure bill?
The infrastructure bill has been passed, and there's
Right.
different funding mechanisms. That's funding that's flowing down to the state through DOT and other state agencies. But there's also, what's happening more now is direct applications to FHWA for funding like rates is one that comes to mind.
Okay.
And there was just one that Troy had reached out to us on, to jump onto, or possibly talk about that.
Yeah, we should, that is discretionary spending, Schumer discretionary spending.
Yes.
So, essentially earmarks are back.
Okay.
But with that, again, we would probably want to have conversations internally amongst the three, figure out, what do you like about it, the pros, the cons. We need the support on it, again, to go through next steps of design. One question I have for you guys too is, what's the length of queuing that this road would be to get to the next light? Do you know offhand?
We don't have that offhand, but that's exactly the type of stuff that
Okay.
would go into a traffic study.
Because I know
Yeah,
Whitehall became very, questionable when we were going through the whole safety and some of the things we wanted to do at 23rd.
Yeah.
That intersection right there. But then I know Whitehall, the access, I think this is going to help a little bit, but I wanted just to see what that whole length was, but we'll talk.
Because then the next light is like Broadway and
Correct.
23rd, where people are coming and going off of 787, so, okay.
Yeah, and this project would likely, at least in terms of striping and signage, extend that far down in order to accommodate the restrictions of lanes. You have 2 lanes in both directions now. At the roundabout, you would only have 1 lane in either direction, so you'd have to transition through that space.
Oh, okay.
Has this been sent to the housing authority?
No, we just literally got this, Monday, Tuesday, to get this on for tonight. We wanted to present it here first, and then start talking to some of the partners around.
The only encroachment would be the housing authority, right? Nothing with the businesses.
That's currently based on the information we have from tax maps and things like that. One of the first steps would be a land survey to establish properties. It's possible there could be other encroachments, but it's also possible those could be avoided by shifting things around. I think the idea was to favor encroaching on the housing authority's property as opposed to the 2 privately owned businesses.
I think there's a little more space that way.
That's true too,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Right, just existing infrastructure,
Yeah.
there's green space there.
But when we looked at this is the 115,
115.
Yes.
and the other one was 130?
We looked at a 130, yeah.
Yeah, that actually took more away from, and actually was more encroachment onto the housing authority, so where this is the smaller design. That I just wanted to, let you absorb that one as well. So it is the smaller possible design that we
Yes.
I think
It
that
is possible.
Right, and we took it as a cue because we've seen, again, there's a roundabout this size in the,
Yeah.
So,
greater capital.
in the spirit of it all, one of the questions I have is, in the roundabout, the way this is structured, for pedestrian crosswalks, there's no, let's say, how do I call it, lights or, stop action. In other words, on 23rd Street, somebody who's going to cross the street, they would be able to cross the street at a stoplight. There's
Right.
nothing here.
Yeah, there's no don't walk necessarily signal there. It acts similarly to like a mid-block crossing. Pedestrians there,
Right.
you're yielding to a pedestrian that's in the crosswalk.
Right.
But rather than a pedestrian crossing 3, 4, 5 lanes of traffic, they're crossing 1.
But they're crossing
We'll just.
They're crossing, they're crossing at a light,
One at
you
a
know.
time, right? Maybe you're saying.
Well, yeah, but they're crossing at a light, not as a, you know,
Right. You could. That is another option. So if you find that you're not getting the compliance, people yielding to pedestrians in the crosswalk, or, you know, where you've got a high volume across one approach of pedestrians, you can put in an RRFB, so it's a rectangular rapid flashing beacon. So it's really the crosswalk sign, but it has flashing lights, so the pedestrian can push that button. So it has a better indication, and we found that with those RRFBs installed, vehicles yielding to a pedestrian in that crosswalk is much higher.
yeah, I have to kind of go that route a little bit more, knowing most of this is seniors on this side. They go to, well, they don't go to Price Chopper that way anymore, but they go to the drugstore, they go across the street, you know, so they're going that way. They don't move as fast as, well, not that you guys, but, you know, even us now, you know, but, you know, so you would want something that kind of like would give them a little bit more time and protection than nothing at all.
If that's something that could be looked at in the hard design. You know, the idea of going with a smaller roundabout aside from the encroachments, it gives a little bit more room as well for the median islands,
Right.
which provide a little bit of a refuge for people as they're crossing.
Right.
So they're
Yep.
dealing with traffic in one direction at any given time.
Correct, right.
But
Yeah.
yeah, point well
I mean,
taken.
but
Without a signal, you don't have that
You sit
right
there-
of way to cross the street.
I don't know if you've sat there, but if you ever sit there at the corners like I have, you know, being, you know, older years and, you know, you watch it, right on red, it's just a free-for-all, you know, they just go like crazy.
And that's the issue really with signals, because often you have at least one movement
Right.
going while pedestrians are supposed to have the right of way. But
Right.
if vehicles are turning right on red, they're turning left and they don't see. With here, it's one movement. Also, the roundabout is designed to slow all traffic down as it's approaching the intersection, as opposed to vehicles continuing at 30 miles an hour because they have a green light. So it's going to slow all the vehicles down, have more time to see, more time to react, should there be a pedestrian in
I
the
think it
crosswalk.
is kind of represented on the drawing too. Vehicles that are yielding should not be queuing over the crosswalk. They should be stopping before the crosswalk until that space between the yield line and the crosswalk becomes available, and then they should move one at a time. And then if the pedestrians, you know, obviously in the crosswalk, they should stop.
And I know,
Ideally.
and I know DOT is anti-mid-block crossing, and you mentioned it yourself, but this is more of, it's a mid-block crossing, but it has those landing areas.
It is very similar to a
Yeah,
mid-block
It
crossing.
functions
Yes.
like a
Exactly,
mid-block
yes,
crossing,
yes,
but
yeah.
DOT is pro-roundabout.
Yes,
So,
yes.
yes.
Well, I don't know who designed the roundabout up in, what is it, Albany Shaker Road, and
That was the DOT.
Maxwell?
Yeah.
Maxwell Road?
is it Maxwell?
I think.
Yeah,
Horrible,
Maxwell Road, yeah.
absolutely horrible.
I
That
think
when
that's
they
a
come-
multi-lane roundabout too.
Well, it's a multi-lane, but you're coming from the crossings and you're headed
Yes.
toward the airport, that's a
Yeah.
free-for-all. Nobody stops, nobody, you know, they fly through there like it's a, you know, a free-for-all,
Yeah.
you know, for
I
the
mean,
meeting.
admittedly.
That is one of the dangers of having a larger roundabout, is drivers feel comfortable carrying much more speed through. You know, this,
They fly.
the design speed of a roundabout this size is
This
10
is-
to 15 miles an hour.
Right.
It would be difficult or uncomfortable, I should say, for a vehicle to drive faster.
Would this be like the size of the one, is it Belt Road and Johnson Road?
Yeah, that.
This would be.
Oh, yeah, nice.
Yeah, you know where it is?
Yeah, I do. I think this would be smaller than that, but we'll take a look at it. Give you guys-
Yeah.
St.
That
Agnes, right?
seems
Does
to
it
be
go
a
to
good
St.
one.
Agnes?
I don't know
Yeah,
if
St.
it's
Agnes
a-
Highway there,
but it's a
yeah.
good-
Yeah, that looks like a small, but I don't know which one is which.
We'll check it.
Yeah, we'll take a look.
Just curious.
Yeah.
That is-
If you
that
walk
is-
Bob
that is
Road,
a small one.
you come to St. Agnes this way and Johnson goes that way.
Yeah.
I just don't think I've driven through that.
Okay,
Yeah, take a look at it.
It doesn't have like the.
Any other questions?
crossings like that.
Anything you want us to do and get back to you with in order to go to next steps, or what are your thoughts?
What are we talking cost-wise to go to the next phase?
Well, that's what I can do, is get you at least a ballpark estimate of what those, you know, an outline of exactly what those next steps should be. Again, doing the traffic analysis and some ballpark numbers for what that would cost.
okay. Anything else?
I think the next time you're going to see Lindsay and Aaron will be for the 19th Street and Fifth Avenue light replacement or shift.
Yeah, I was kind of.
Yes, that, and hopefully we'll get comments back from DOS on Hudson Shores Park, so we can move that. Yeah.
Well, if you're done right now, I'm not gonna let you go, because now I'm gonna ask you about Hudson Shores Park and the restaurant.
June 1st, right?
Yeah, next step on the restaurant is to issue an RFP to get developer restaurateur on board. That'd be the next
What's
step
holding
there.
that up? Baby? The baby?
No, Joe and I can follow up on that. Then what's for the play trail, it's waiting on comments back from DOS. So they should have gotten back to us 2 days ago, so I'll be.
Now, DOS has to have some input on the restaurant, Joe?
Not the restaurant, no, because the DOS doesn't have any funding there. It's approval on the play trail plans, because the funding for that is DOS.
Okay. And because some of the funding for that also is with the Breslin.
Yes, that there was 100,000 for the restaurant.
100 or 125, yeah, okay.
Okay,
Okay.
all right.
Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thanks,
All right,
guys.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
You're not
Is
staying?
your, Lindsay, does your picture have any more detail than this for my records, or is it just the same one?
That's the same one.
Same one, okay, good.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. You want to go into reports of officers, committees now?
Sure, I can do that now.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. So March 10th, this next Friday, is going to be our first bulk pickup for 2023. I believe we have 12 currently, David, around here.
We have 12 with at least another 3 going to come in, so at least 15.
Yeah.
Probably around 20 or something.
So we've had some good interest on the first one, and then the bulk drop-off is coming shortly thereafter, March 31st. We're still waiting on an answer regarding electronics. I know JCS Recycling, who did it in 2022, still hasn't gotten the go-ahead to finalize dropping off the bin. I think there's some new regulations with electronics.
Yeah, you get that report.
I do, and I have it right here, just for our own informational purposes. They sent Chris, which we've now changed, we'll get that information. But last year in 2022, just to show what we had, that's why I said next year we might look at, maybe a fee structure on this. But the data for the collection for 2022, we had 90 computers that were dropped off, or 90 pounds of computers, I should say. TV carts, 979 TV, and then non-TV was 1,221 pounds of those. Small electronical wastes, which are like blenders and those type of things, 115 pounds, and then small scale items, and chargers, those type of things, 161 pounds. So overall, just in electronics, in the bulk, 2,400 pounds was taken away from the city. So it was very, the counts on those, 45 flat TVs, 14 standard TVs, 5 computers, 4 dehumidifiers, and it goes on with a number of other lists. As I said last year, we did see, a lot of people dropping off more TVs than one household should have, so I think we'll look at that, again, maybe at a per cost item, should that go forward.
When's such a short again?
31st.
The 31st.
The 31st is that, yes. I did tell the mayor, and I was talking about it before the meeting tonight, we have a gentleman who wants to donate some missing fencing on our 15th Street Park, along with a couple of gates. It's a younger play park. He's there with a lot of youngsters, daycare centers and things like that. And he asked if we could just bring a little bit more safety to it, because it has a couple of areas where kids could run out. So definitely going to look at that see what he's willing to donate, whether it be time, labor, materials, whatever it may be. We'll bring that back to the council so they can adopt it and move that forward for early spring with it. Recently completed a conversation on the ramps. We're still moving forward with the former owner of the barge. He's looking to sell those to us. The price still stands at $40,000. I know we're waiting on one confirmation from the engineers that we're looking at that to confirm, and then we'll move that forward. We are looking at a March 20, possibly, depending on the way the river is going to be flowing, putting our docks into the Hudson River. I've been in conversations with both RPI and Emma Willard. Both are coming back in 2023, and they're hoping to be on the water by the end of March. That's really what we have, and a number of the items that we have on here tonight are just items that we were working on over the past couple of weeks.
Good. All right.
Where are we with the boat company? The guy who's going to run the tour?
Good.
So they've signed the contract based on our action a couple of meetings ago.
Yes.
I have to finalize with Louise as to what number of docks we're going to get.
Oh, okay.
They initially asked, our boat company that's coming here asked for 200 feet. We're getting 150 from Louise. We're just trying to finalize those numbers. And then Louise and the city of Watervliet will work together on putting both sets of docks in as well. So
Do we think that will be up and running for?
he wants to be up and running within that May timeframe.
Okay.
And like I said, we're looking at putting docks in around March. So if we can get everything solidified,
Okay.
at that time, those docks will be in.
I thought you were jumping into the other water, the res. How we doing on the boat for that?
We don't have a delivery date or anything at this point in time, so, but we plan on having that within this upcoming season. So,
Yeah, okay. And do you have an update on the streetlights?
We just talked with them, Centrica, probably within the last week. I asked for an analysis, which they haven't finished yet, as to the bleed and to the light spray and what needs to be replaced. And we gave them our numbers as to which ones were out and everything. They asked that I work with National Grid, which I have not gotten that to them yet. But I'll get that to them, within the next couple of days, have them replace that light, and then that'll come into our inventory. But the first National Grid has to finish everything with PSC, and they anticipated that was going to be like 60 to 90 days. So that's not going to be anything that's happening real soon.
No, I know
Yeah.
that. It's, just wondered how it's moving along. With
Yeah, they were asking.
We have to go, first have to go to purchase, but they're probably going to be working on the changeover as well.
Yes.
Okay. Next, we'll go into old business.
Your Honor, there is no old business on this evening's agenda.
New business?
The first order of new business is resolution number 15 for 2023. This is a bond resolution dated March 2nd, 2023, of the Council of the City of Watervliet authorizing not to exceed $1,360,000 aggregate principal amount of serial general obligation bonds to finance the acquisition of a garbage truck, fire truck, police vehicles, and a code enforcement vehicle at an estimated maximum cost of $1,360,000, levy of tax and annual installments and payment thereof, the expenditure of such sum for such purchase, and determining other matters in connection therewith.
I'll make a motion on resolution 15.
And I'll second it.
So this is the authorization to purchase, as it says, a garbage truck. And I'll give you the dollar figures for each item. So you have it for a maximum of $330,000. Fire truck, the pumper, for a maximum of $880,000. 2 police vehicles at a maximum cost of $120,000. and one code vehicle for maximum cost of $30,000. And all of these vehicles have different year maturity life. So like, for example, the police cars, I think, are only like 3 years, and the fire truck is 20 years. So, yeah.
That's a pretty good price for the fire truck, isn't it? Because weren't we talking about somewhere around $1 million for a fire truck?
Well, there's different types of fire trucks.
Okay.
So this is the pumper. The ladder truck, I believe, is the more expensive
that's
one,
Okay.
yeah.
which is probably closer to 1.2, 1.5 million.
Okay, that makes sense.
And somebody asked about where our debt limit was last. We were at 20.7% of our debt limit.
20.7%.
This is a filing that we do with the SEC every year. This is just a page of it. That has the debt information.
Thank you.
And is there a kind of a standard, Amanda, in some ways? Like a rule of thumb? Good, bad, worse?
Oh, we're perfectly fine.
Yeah.
We do not
We're
utilize
we're
a
low.
whole lot of debt. I don't have that number and I don't want to make it up.
Okay.
But I know that ours is relatively low.
But there'll be things progressively.
Certainly.
Is we have anything being written off soon?
I know we paid one off.
Not too long ago, right?
I think we paid 2 off in the last couple of years. There might be one more coming in the next couple. I can't recall, to be truthful. But we do have a ban that will eventually get rolled into a bond. And this will be a ban before it's a bond as well. So
Right.
that'll all go together and be one giant listing.
Okay. What's the rates now?
I don't know. 3, I think our December ban was like 3. Sorry, I don't know.
Under 5.
I believe so.
Okay. I know
Pioneer's good to us, truthfully.
our mortgages is really creeping into the 8.
Yeah.
When would we get these?
So the fire truck itself is the longest out. That we're 3 years, 36 to 42 months, is that what they said? Okay. The garbage truck, there's potential we can have it relatively soon, in like a month or so. The police vehicles, again, we could get those very, very soon. And the code car,
We would have had.
we could have had.
Yes, we would have had here. We did a procurement via the phone. We called 5 different dealers, one in Bennington, Massachusetts, or Bennington, Vermont, one in Pittsfield, Massachusetts, and then 3 locals. Based on our criteria, we're looking for under 30,000. We're looking for mileage under 30,000. Didn't need to be a top of the line one, and we got 5 replies. With that, I went and test drove the 2 who were the lowest cost value up in Bennington. When I submitted everything to our attorney, he said we probably should have put a legal notice in the paper. I would have given you a resolution tonight, but based on the fact that we did not do illegal, we never really purchased a used vehicle here in the city or equipment like that. Neither Amanda or I really looked at, or thinking about doing a legal notice to it. But again, so we're gonna do the legal notice, create a similar RFP, just a small sampling criteria, and then hopefully bring that back to you on the 16th. Hopefully the vehicle is still there too.
For dealerships to contact you and say, I've got a
Correct.
card, here's what the price is and all the
Correct.
particulars, okay.
And our December ban was 3.89%.
3.8.
No.
Okay. Okay, very good. All right, no other questions, call the roll.
Councilman Bills?
In favor.
Councilwoman Dodd?
Favor?
Mayor Patricelli?
In favor?
Resolution number 16 for 2023 is a resolution awarding a contract for the installation of a concrete ADA entry ramp at the former Dutch Reformed Church and authorizing Charles V. Patricelli to execute all required documents regarding same.
Mayor, I'll make a motion that we move on resolution number 16 for 2023.
I'll second motion.
All right, this is for the ADA curbing as was just mentioned. It's a ramp designed to bring, access point into the Dutch Reformed Church as we're going through and rehabbing that building. What it doesn't show in here, although it says just a ramp, we're also doing a new sidewalk with a curb cut right along the existing sidewalk area. So we're cleaning that up. And it also is going to have a railing that goes across because we will be, again, getting that pitch, of 12 on one run. We'll probably be out of the ground about 2.5 feet. So we're doing fabrication railings all the way around. And Dominic Augusta just texted earlier today that that's about a 4, possibly 5 week lead time on that one.
Where
I
would
think
that
you and I
go?
discussed that.
Where would that go? In front?
So right coming out of the front steps,
Okay.
that will be flush mounted right there to that top step going in. And then you'll come out to a platform and then you'll start your C pattern on the way out.
Church side, not the.
So you're gonna actually be in front of the church, you're gonna go towards the museum, go to another platform area, and then go back down to the front of the church entry.
Okay.
Yes, and then your ADA compliant curb will be in the parking lot, and then also be at 15th Street. So, and then they'll, like I say, in front of the museum entry will be an actual access point cut into the curb so people could come into the handicap parking spot and then make their way over to the ramp.
Joe, I got another, I like it, it's just, it's close but not, no cigar to the ramp.
Yeah,
What I like to see, what we missed the boat on over here at the, and we might have to talk about it, on the parking over here where, and I'm not sure how we might do it because we're limited on parking, somehow or another on the west side of this divide, that we have some kind of a curb cut between, on that,
Island.
the island, whatever that is.
are you saying between these two sections?
Yeah,
Or between where the housing parks?
Yeah, from this, yeah, between here.
Oh, right
because-
here, between these two.
From
Right,
north
Okay.
and south, but from the west side to the east.
right, correct. I mean, and I know this might not be, maybe a little late to incorporate it here, or we try and do something that might make it. We have to kind of look at it, because I think no matter what you do, you're going to end up losing a little bit of parking. You might lose that spot there, or might have to readjust the lines a little bit to get it so that people can, from the west side, can come to the east side without walking over the top of the curb.
That we just paved? That area that we just paved?
Did we pave it, or?
Yeah,
did
we
took
out all the-
We paved it,
Well,
yes, right
we
there.
kind of filled it in.
We filled
but
it in.
The curbing was already there, I think.
Right, the curbing was there. So somehow or another, a
Used to be
cut
blocks.
You could do it right by
Right.
the handicap.
could be, yeah, that's right too, yeah.
Because you've got that space where they.
Because what it does is it forces the, especially those who don't want to take the chance of walking over that. Summer is a little bit easier, but, it's really the ice and snow and anything else like this, and trying to walk themselves through that. They have to walk all the way around, which is kind of even halfway more, 6 of one, half of another, if it's treacherous or not in as well. So if we can look at that a little bit, while we're doing this.
Well, one of the positive things is we're signing the contracts tomorrow, so 10 o'clock, the contract will be over
Okay.
at City Hall. Livonia General Contracting was the lowest one out of 7 submissions. So I just made a note here with the architect being there and the contractor. We can
Perfect.
talk about that
Yep.
timeframe and maybe change
It
order
can't be,
number 1.
yeah, it can't be that
can't be that much.
It can't be that much.
Joe, you're talking to, and I know this is minor, but I've seen this happen in time. I know that ramps are ADA for wheelchairs, but if someone ever gets hurt inside there, they have to bring a stretcher in. Would it be also feasible to look at that, getting a stretcher in and out? I know they'll carry a person out, but
Yeah.
I know they're all ADA with a wheelchair, but I was at a church one time, and they had that ramp, and they had a person get hurt, and they had a tougher time with the stretcher, making that maneuver.
Yeah. Well, those are typically designed, and I'll confirm that tomorrow.
Just so, I mean, I don't want to
You
change.
have a pass-by area for steps,
Yeah,
and then your ADA is over to the left. or
yeah,
right.
just so it's not,
Yeah.
but we were at a church one time, and they had to bring a stretcher in, and I noticed that they had to turn back around and go out the back way, because the stretcher couldn't make the maneuver, and they didn't want to, the person hurt their neck, and they didn't want to kind of bend them around the poles, because there was no steps down like you're talking about.
That's a good point, so noted. We'll talk about that tomorrow too.
Okay. Good. That's another step in the right direction on that. If there's no other questions, I'll call the roll.
Councilman Bills,
In favor?
Councilwoman Dunn,
Favor?
Mayor Patricelli.
In favor.
Resolution number 17 for 2023 is a resolution awarding a contract to repair and/or replace the flocculator tanks at the water filtration plant and authorizing Mayor Charles V. Patricelli to execute all required documents regarding same.
I'll make a motion on resolution number 17.
And I will second it.
Okay, so this one is a $1.4 million component of the larger project where we're upgrading areas to our water filtration plant. I think you've all taken a tour of the water filtration plant, but the flocculator tanks that this particularly talks about, those are the ones in front. And back when we were younger, the filtration plant operated, remember those water that kind of trickled down or cascaded down? Well, those flocculator tanks in there, and that they have a long wheel paddle, and they paddle the wheel to aerate the water that comes in from Gilliland. Those are the tanks that we're going to be draining, putting in new equipment, but also sealing at the same time. And that's what this project is here. And Gallo Construction was the lowest bidder out of 6 people who applied or sent in proposals at $1,483,518.
When does that start?
We're probably looking at, what is it now, March? We're looking at probably May timeframe. We're hoping to get, because you need temperature, the right temperatures to seal those concrete, and anything as it goes deeper. But we're going to be doing a pre-construction meeting, I think, in a week or 10 days.
And this is the one that had the chain break?
Yes, it did.
Remember the chain?
And we're, not 100% sure, to be quite honest with you, because we talked about going back to the metal that we currently have, because that's what happened when during the course of the time when the chain broke, there was still lag time, lead times with trying to get it, and we weren't going to get it for like 10 days, which would have been really tough for us. So we went to Colony, we were able to get a couple of pieces, but a lot of them are moving till the heavy-duty plastic. So I'm not sure where we are going to be. It's a lighter chain, it's easier for our guys to work with. I'm not 100% sure where we landed, if it was back to the old metal or to the plastic with it.
That's a big chain.
It is a big chain, it's a heavy chain. And if I might just step back one moment, you just asked about start time. When we go to the concrete ramping, we're waiting on frost to leave, so we're looking at probably an early April when you'll see that one kick off.
Okay, thank you.
Which is right around the corner when you think about it.
What's next month?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, that's good.
Yeah.
One more on the what about that wall on the west side?
Wall on the west side, so
Is that any
you
part of
are.
The bricks?
The bricks?
The brick's another job that we were, if you remember, we sat around this table before and talked about that we were gonna usually go to one big contractor, then we're actually parceling those out one by one. That is not on the table right now to do, but it's part of the overall project, is refacing the bricks.
Okay.
I think there's a method to, thought process of getting into the tanks, seeing what it is, solidifying those, and then working their way out.
Okay. Call the roll.
Councilman Dawes?
Favor.
Councilwoman Diamond?
In favor?
Mayor
In
Patricelli?
favor?
Resolution number 18 for 2023 is a resolution amending a contract for a change to the City Hall window project and authorizing Mayor Charles V. Patricelli to execute all required documents regarding same.
And I will make a motion that we move on resolution number 18 for 2023.
A second motion.
Okay, and this one is, we're ending we're coming to the end of this project here with the City Hall windows. We've been struggling on how to apply the safety grates back onto the windows in the alley with the police. Although the windows are quite strong, I believe they're, not going to break as easy as everyone thinks. Having one blown in and slammed down on my thermostat, it didn't break. But I don't want them, the contractor or the contractor coming in to put the plates back on, drilling into the vinyl trim. So I've asked for them to go back out and what we have to do to go into the brick. And then if we have to repair the window is to now put that grate on a hinge that could open up and we have direct access to it. Whether we put a lock on it, whether we pin them or so on, but I don't want anything to, they really made the other place look pretty bad when they drilled into the windows the last time. This way we want it done tastefully, so the architect made some mountable elbows or corners in there. And they look a lot nicer, it's going to be cleaner, a little bit more professional than what we had. So,
But then also, there came some other changes too along the way.
we did some changes to a couple of the windows where inside trim might have changed because of work that was done over the years or walls that were erected. So we had to change the trim out, so we had to buy some different oak. And I think the last component on this was a change to one of the arc windows that we did in the back. Based on demolition, we had to make a change to how we had to do that. So that comes for a total of $22,027.43 for the net change.
Okay. Call the roll, please.
Councilman Dawes?
Favor.
Councilwoman Diamond?
Favor?
Mayor Patricelli?
In favor?
Resolution number 19 for 2023 is a resolution approving the purchase of a 2026 Sutphen pumper and authorizing Mayor Charles V. Patricelli to execute all required documents regarding same.
I'll make a motion on resolution 19 for 2023.
And I will second it.
Now, I know this was a last-minute add-on to tonight's agenda. We added this on early, early in the day, but we put this on because I think it was in 2 weeks or so. March 10th. So next week, there's a good chance that these costs are going to go up, which we
10%.
estimate. Yeah, 10%.
Wow.
So about $80,000. So that's why we made the change to it. The guy from Sutton company there, he actually talked to the chief and Amanda and I today. We went through it. He articulated the fact is to get this thing, completed it in so we could lock it down. We won't see it for 36 to 43 months, but the price will be guaranteed. We'll get a 2026 when the time comes, new fire engine. So, what's that?
I said her kid will be 3 years old. Kindergarten.
Pre-K. You'll be so excited.
He'll be going to high school. Oh, we got our truck.
No, well, that's great.
Well,
It
you
saves
get
like
the first round.
$80,000 or $88,000. That's huge.
Yeah.
I did debate on asking that.
What?
He gets the first ride.
Yeah. I'm sure he'd like it. Okay. All right. There's no other questions.
Yeah,
This
that
is
sounds good.
This is good. I'm glad that we're taking the necessary actions to do what I think is with the great foresight and the
lot of money.
preventive maintenance. It is a lot of money, and you know, I think people need to know that these are big considerations and big steps for everything that we've done.
Yeah, and, you know, and to put it on the record, I commend you guys for thinking, you know, down the road and doing these type of projects now, because these are the type of things that when, you know, we're going or whatever it may be, you know, these are set in place, that we're putting the right projects, the right equipment there for, you know, our residents to, you know, see and have the safety, knowing that you're gonna have good equipment to come, you know, to any type of, you know, emergency need, so, thank you.
Well, looking 3 years and 4 years down the road and spending a lot of money on that is not a normal way of doing
Right.
it. But
In reality, as I had said, you know, fire trucks have about a 20-year life. We purchased the current one in 2006, so we're
extending.
getting that 20 years.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, really.
All right. Call the roll, please.
Councilman Dawes?
In favor?
Councilwoman Donovan?
Favor?
Mayor Patricelli?
In favor.
Your Honor, that concludes this evening's new business.
Is there appropriations accounting? I think
we've covered that, Mr.
I
Mayor.
think we did a pretty good job on hacking that out. We'll open it up for now for public comment.
At this time, the mayor and the, the mayor and the council have authorized a public comment period. If you wish to address the council, we ask that you please step forward and state your name and address for the record.
Okay, we'll open up the public comment. Seeing that there's no one here tonight, we might as well close the public comment period unless anybody here want to act like a cop. Okay, we're good. All right, we'll close it. All right, our next meeting will be March 16th. I think we have anything coming up in between that now?
Is the church doing Easter Bunny at all?
Easter
wait,
Bunny is in
sorry, that's
April.
April.
Yeah, we're Easter Bunny, yep, we're working on the Easter Bunny now. You'll be surprised. We are looking at, well,
Rescheduling Fire Night.
the fire and ice is going to be the 24th. The build-a-bed at the Dome will be the 25th. And we are looking to have, and I'm waiting for confirmation, but I might as well let you know, we're looking at the prayer breakfast for April 4th, that we will host the prayer breakfast possibly here in this building.
Okay.
So it'll be, you know, an early 7 o'clock breakfast.
Is this the one that was over in the Arsenal?
We used to have it over in the Arsenal. The Arsenal is,
Yes, I have fun with that.
has, you know, canceled it always, you know, because of COVID. But they're doing some things over there in the Officers Club, and they weren't able to accommodate the breakfast. So we said, hey, look, we'll take over at this time and we'll do it here. But that'll be our April 4th, as long as the Colonel is available.
Good. Just to let you know too, the prayer breakfast years ago used to be switched up.
Right.
It used to be sometimes in the city and sometimes in Arsenal, so this is nothing new.
Well,
No.
that's nice then.
No, we used to have, I don't remember any other place, but I remember the prayer breakfast when it was held by the city was at I think it might have been like the Holiday Inn at the time. I don't remember if we had it any.
Years ago, it was held in Holiday Inn, but a few years, it was actually held right here in this room.
I don't remember.
Yep, and they had the seniors cook.
That's
Very good.
nice.
Okay. All right, if there's nothing else, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion.
And I will second it.
Okay, motion's made and second. Call the roll, please.
Councilman Dawes?
In favor.
Councilwoman Donovan?
Favor?
Mayor Patricelli?
In favor. Good night, everybody. Thank you.